yes, a tiger. You just describe those who are unafraid to stand up and make that fight. And that is the Congresswoman from Ohio, Marcy Kaptur, who knows personally what's happening.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, Peter, for doing this on the morning when we are sworn into the 115th Congress. This is a brilliant, brilliant moment. Thank you. I want to thank Rich Trumka. I have a long memory as one of the 3 elders now here who actually fought NAFTA at the beginning. The evening of the vote, it was raining just like today, and we did a press conference in the Capitol because corporate interests had literally taken over one of the Ways and Means committee rooms, and we had to out them. They were using the phones and so forth. I thought that was illegal to use a room in the Capitol that way, and I saw the door open on the east side of the Capitol, and John Sweeney from the AFL-CIO came in, and he had his raincoat over his arm, and he walked around the corner across from the dining room, and he walked up the stairs with one aide. I was so proud to be a member of Congress and to know that I was fighting for him and his members at that time, many of whom ended up being slaughtered on the battlefield of NAFTA in my district in Ohio. And it's too bad that for a quarter century, all these people that have paid the price of these failed trade agreements had to be the ones that showed America a new way. It didn't have to be this way. NAFTA didn't have to be drafted the way that it was. In fact, I have a button that says, not this NAFTA, and was paid for by the AFL-CIO. It's back home in my district office in a big frame that I have outside my door. But I just say to those of you who are here today, thank you for caring about the American people who come from all walks of life. I invite President Trump to Ohio, and I invite him to any state that has lost jobs because of NAFTA. We'd like to help him and his administration to craft a new trade agreement that will result in rising wages and possibilities for people on all sides of borders. I particularly want to highlight the Buy American provision in this 21st century Bill of Rights that is being crafted, and that is that there should be no ban in any trade agreement that would prevent, when government money is spent on projects or to procure products, we should give a preference to the American people. That seems so fundamental. And so that is one of the provisions that I strongly support. I also wanted to say a word about workers and that first provision, if I could. Back in 1994, there was only one paper in the country, the Houston Chronicle, and I saved this, that talked about some of the poorest people in this hemisphere that would pay the price of NAFTA. And many of them have now come to the United States as undocumented workers. But over 2 million Mexican peasants were uprooted from their land, and they have formed the permanent exodus across this continent of undocumented workers. They still have no rights. Come and travel with me, President-elect Trump, to Anapra and places in Mexico where these workers, their lives are tragedies. And President-elect Trump has talked about a door in the wall. I think there's a simpler answer. I think there's a simpler answer, and that is to give workers on all sides of the border rights as human beings. They don't have to be trafficked. They don't, unfortunately, have to become involved in the drug trade to pay for the bounty that they paid some coyote to come across to pick grapes or to pick blueberries in this country, or strawberries in states like Ohio, and cucumbers and pickles and so forth. What's happening is absolutely wrong. And I'm just proud to stand with my colleagues here to say that it's a privilege for us to serve. I never thought it would take this long to do what's obvious, and that's to do what's right and to give people dignity. And I thank my colleagues for helping to craft. I thank Lori Wallach, I see her here, giving their lives, these good Americans, giving their lives to help our people have a better way of life and to have rising standards of living on all sides of our border. I am proud to stand with these Americans. I now would like to introduce a colleague from California who actually, coming from a coastal state, you wouldn't think that they would even be for us, right? And but Brad Sherman has spent his time here when he chaired committees and subcommittees of bringing forth many of the stories and the data about what was happening with trade, and took a leadership role in that regard as one of our preeminent members in the area of foreign policy, and chose to stand strong with us in opposition to this NAFTA. Thank you so very much. Oh, and by the way, I should end by saying the president has the right to withdraw from NAFTA. There's a provision in NAFTA on the first day that he becomes president. That power is there, but we would prefer to negotiate an agreement that would have rising standards of living for all. Brad, thank you for being such a leader and making this moment possible.